Hey everyone, Dr. Shawn Talbott here. Have you ever heard someone say that you can manifest your dreams just by thinking about them? By putting it out there to the universe, your goals will magically be attracted to you. This is sometimes called attraction marketing. Well, it's nonsense. Manifesting is sometimes thought of as magical thinking. It's thought of as being, some woo-woo stuff. It can work, but only if we do it the right way, what I call scientific manifesting. This approach uses your brain's built-in system for filtering the whole world based on what you focus on. It's a powerful technique that we call cognitive prioritization, and it harnesses how the brain filters information. And when your brain filters information the right way, you can build behavior around your intention. So what manifesting actually helps us do is focus on the important stuff and ignore the unimportant stuff, the thing that basically distract us. So this difference between trying to magically attract things to you and using real neuroscience to tune your brain into what matters. So this mental targeting, it's really a system that's known as the reticular activating system, the RAS. The RAS is a network of different brain regions, different neurotransmitters that work to filter about 99% of all the sensory input that comes into the brain. And that's information that comes from the gut brain, that comes from the heart brain, and the RAS will flag what's aligned with your goals. So this is why the act of mentally rehearsing a goal activates different brain regions linked to motivation and the action that you take. Like this happens in the prefrontal cortex. So it's not just about thinking about it, it's that the thinking gets you into action. So we can use visualization, or the idea that focus fuels action, as a form of mental stimulation to help us prime the brain for behavior. So it's not just about saying, oh, here's my goal and I'm going to put it out there to the universe, and the universe is just going to magically reflect that back to me, and I'm going to get what I want. It doesn't work that way. Manifesting is really about helping our brain focus on the right stuff so we can ignore the stuff that gets in our way. These techniques have been used effectively in sports psychology for decades, but it's not just about the thinking the things, it's also about the doing the things. And one thing that links those is emotion. When you can use emotionally charged goals, it triggers the amygdala. That's your fear center. It triggers your dopamine systems that are related to motivation and drive. So if you infuse your visualization with emotion, that creates something that we call salience. Salience basically refers to the idea that something is important to you. So if you're doing your visualization with those emotional cues, you can think of that salience that it creates as like a highlighter for your brain. It makes your brain more aware of different cues in your environment that are aligned with whatever your goals are. It engages your emotional systems, so you're more likely to notice them and more likely to act on them. And that's what it is. It's about acting on those goals. It's not just about thinking about them. It's about using the emotions and using the RAS and using these scientific techniques around scientific manifesting that helps us really get into action. So, if you've ever heard the saying that luck favors the prepared mind, or you've heard somebody say that the harder I work, the luckier I get, these are referring to this idea that emotionally charged visualization creates salience, and that salience helps us to focus on the important stuff and not some mystical power of the universe, universe being nice to you or something like that. The last thing to keep in mind is that neurons that fire together wire together. I've been saying this for years. I've been writing about it in all of my books. This is the idea that regular practice of focusing on and refining your goals and keeping them front of mind actually changes the shape of your brain. It's a concept that we call neuroplasticity. The brain being plastic means that it can change its physical shape based on the thoughts that we feed it, based on the actions that we take. So regular focus on our goals strengthens these neural pathways and reinforces our attentional bias and drives us towards the behaviors that are really going to be congruent with whatever it is that we're trying to get out of life. So scientific manifestation manifesting really helps us to focus on the important stuff and ignore the distractions. And good research shows this. There are good research papers from very good psychology departments. There are even good books that talk about all of this. And a lot of that research shows us that entrepreneurs who visualize success, they tend to take more goal-aligned steps in their businesses. As I mentioned a few minutes ago, athletes who use visualization can enhance their performance outcomes. Let me give you a little personal example. Just last weekend was the Massachusetts State Championship for the triathlon, Olympic level triathlon. My goal was to reach the podium. So that gave me the attention, right? I wanted to be on the podium. But I also thought about how I would feel if I was on the podium. You know, what would that emotion be? I'd be happy, I'd be excited, I'd be contented, I'd be proud of myself. So you're really trying to infuse that goal with some sort of a feeling. And the action that drove me to take was, the standard training for the swim, training for the bike, training for the run, training my transitions, because that often is a place where I lose time. So that translated into the behavior. So using this scientific approach to manifesting, it got me the podium. I got on the third step of the podium, right? Not second, not first, but I got on the podium. That was my main goal. And it happened not because the universe was being nice to me, because I manifested that. The manifestation led to a visualization. It led to an emotional connection. It led to a behavior, and it led to success, right? That's what we all want. So when you have a goal, or even better, you have a BHAG, a big, hairy, audacious goal, you don't want to just wish it. You want to wire it into your brain. And more importantly, wire it into your gut-brain axis. The science on this is really clear. You want to take selective attention. You want to have emotional salience. You want to have goal-directed behavior. You actually have to be doing something. And that leads to real-life manifestation. Said simpler, you think it, you feel it, you do it. And when you do that, you'll get what you want. You will achieve your goals by scientific manifesting, okay? See you next time.